Okay, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Teshome Yohannes. I'm from Busa, Gonofa. I'd like to just reflect back on some of the experience you have gone through on the research that Ruth has just presented. We have been doing with IFPRI together, and particularly, by the way, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ruth, Alamayo, and Goush. These are the minds behind the research, and definitely we're also playing active role in the field implementation, and really I'd like to thank them. First, I'll just give you some highlights to link with why really Busa has to worry about micro insurance or weather index insurance, and then I'll try to show or reflect what we have learned. We were established in 1999, and it is a regulated financial institution. In Ethiopia, microfinance is regulated by the central bank. Of course, we have got a social objective. We have currently about almost 90,000 customer base. They are farmers or loan credits customers with something like 200 million outstanding loan, and I have something like 400 staff. We have something around almost average outstanding loan per borrower of $150 per borrower. Now, why do we bother is about weather index insurance or weather insurances? The 200,000 outstanding loan I have is actually 75% of the borrowers are smallholder farmers. And as you can see, yes, farming is a dominant income source, but definitely they don't also necessarily rely on agricultural loan. They don't rely on agricultural loan, but the primary source of income is really for two-thirds of them is almost rain-fed agriculture or subsistence farming, if you like. Petty trading in cattle or grain trade or some business like drinks or food service or etc. is also another important. But in all cases for them, agriculture is still an important source of income. So these are the people we work with. These are some of our customers. Definitely the risk is our risk. And whatever shocks they face, definitely it will affect my loan portfolio, but ultimately my salary as well. So why weather index insurance? As I said, most of them are smallholder farmers dependent on rain-fed agriculture, and most of them are obviously exposed to droughts. We were clearly involved really as a lead implementer, if you like, while IFPRI was playing really the conceptual thinking, the design, the pilot testing, and also even they played an important role in early phases as well as even this year also about educating of the community. And they're also really, we are also trying to design the sales strategy itself jointly, more or less. The product features are very simple. Initially, I was thinking really how can, even I don't understand insurance myself, how is it that I'm going to sell to farmers? And I think that's really false. It's very easy to tell to farmers. All you need to take is just to take similar type of bottles, tell them if the rainfall is here or below, I pay. If the rainfall is not above them, I don't pay. It's very easy. Communicating or selling index insurance was not really as technical I assumed initially. It's not really, and most of the farmers also are familiar with the concept of insurance like EDR and etc. I think I exaggerated actually the fear about understanding or communicating the abstract concept of insurance. They don't have to know about the modeling. I don't even know. But I think I can easily tell them when I'm going to pay and what they benefit. and when I'm not going to pay, and what they are going to probably lose. Delivery mechanism, I think my staff played a key role. We have something like 30 branches, but we really focused in one branch where we have operation, and in 2 sites where we don't have any presence, or, in one, no presence. In the third one, a little bit of presence, not really very close to the site of the rainfall station, but more or less so. In that, I think, and the other is, we are working with, we sold individually to each farmer. It was not linked to any credit service. It was not linked to any credit, and we didn't want at this stage to link it. We are working with Oromia Insurance Company on risk-bearing arrangement. There was no really reinsurance at this stage. It is strictly voluntary, so if you want, we pay you, if this is the case. One policy is, the severe one is 75 birr, and the moderate one is 125 birr, I think, this time. If that circumstance occurs, we pay out 500 birr. That was really how we made it. And roughly, during the initial years, the number of policies we sold was a little bit larger, but also because there were some subsidies and some kind of lottery, etc., that we wanted really to see some of the behavior of, their decisions or even their take-up. Of course, these things, as Ruth earlier shared, there are cases where subsidy has, or the discount or whatever has made a difference on sales, but I don't know whether is that a price issue or is it an experimental issue for farmers themselves. That's really what we have to see in the future. But generally from this, what you can see is it's not scaling up. Yes, we restricted still the marketing in the same village and the areas with a little bit expansion this year, but definitely it's not really growing up as we hoped. Why should we worry with growth? You can see, if you take the first box, that's the traditional insurance type. The premium is something like 50 birr or $50 or whatever. But here we are talking about 5 birr premium type of policy. Unless you make it in a massive scale, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be sustainable. So an insurance policy with what we are selling now, 75 birr, if some of the costs are, and we are aiming for 5% profit margin, for example, what volume of sales are we going to sell is really, that's why we have to worry. So some of the things are, of course, as I said earlier already, we offered it as a standalone product with voluntary upfront payment in cash and no credit linkage, but there is a possibility that we can consider to link it with credit because we have something like 80,000 or even within the coming 1 year, I'll reach something like 100,000 customers base. But there even linkage may not be very likely. Why? My credit customers are distributed in drought-prone areas as well as less drought-prone areas. But this product is designed specifically for rainfall shortage, which means for drought risk. So it's very unlikely that the 100,000 customer base that I'm going to have may not necessarily be, to be linked with this product as such. So one of probably the myths I had was, I can link it, but the credit is for something, the insurance is for another thing. Linkage might require really so much work and so much adjustment of where the two products can be complementary. The product design was with the work of IFPRI. Basically, there is nothing that I'm left with when it comes to the product design. Especially after we tested the gap insurance, personally, I'm very convinced of the satisfaction of the customers and the value it's going to add, if at all. The biggest challenge is how can we sell it massively? There is not very much work that I expect when it comes to really the product refinement or change or something like that. The other issue with that is definitely the rainfall. Yes, we are taking reports from NMA, from the local weather station sites. And we ourselves are really taking the report to the farmers. Basically, especially in terms of really establishing good accountability for reporting itself, I prefer if that report is to be delivered by the meteorological administration rather than by my staff, to just make separation, but also, I mean, how also can I protect the interest of the customers as well, if those things are not really, but NMA, whether they are interested or motivated to do that is another thing. We also tried in one incident to send the farmers themselves to go and collect, but that also has got some challenge as well. But by the way, one of the things is in one of the areas, this was rainfall data gathering equipment, okay? And in some of them, the person is really a part-time employee for obvious reason. You can't have it full-time employee for that. But in one case, it was the mother of this kid, okay? I mean, this is the real case. Okay, this is not 100% everywhere, but I think there is an issue about the question of really the credibility of the weather data. Which is really my question there is, how is the weather data credible or reliable or free from any tampering with? That's really an issue for scale up and even to build a good level of confidence by the community. Okay, now the question is therefore, is it possible to massively scale up weather insurance? I've been working in microfinance for the last 10, 15 years. I started with 700 customers and reached much, but I think one of the challenges from my experience with group-based credit approach is that I approached clearly and deliberately, of course, with voluntary individual sales to farmers on cash. But I know my success rate with group compulsory type of product is quite different, and it's the reverse of actually the compulsory group-based type. So that's really one of the challenges. How can we bridge it is one question. Then compulsion is also not, I doubt whether it's appropriate for this type of product. If it is credit life insurance, yes, I can make it compulsory. But for this one, I doubt. So what really is a way to bridge that? And finally, the dominant focus so far has been still, most of the issues, the preoccupation is product design. And most of the time, whether it's an energy or research institution, most of the players are really players in the development world or development organizations. But scaling up requires commercial local presence. So what can we do really in scaling up and having that commercial capacity? That's probably one. And for me, I guess the best way to scale up is through continuous effort of local financial institutions, be it MFIs, insurance companies, or I don't know, whatever. This commercial capacity building might be one of the focus areas, and of course, community education is another issue. Then definitely I see a room for smart subsidies still, already what have been raised. And also, especially, subsidy, which focuses again on the marketing. The other probably we have to really find a way also to work on improving the operating and reporting procedures of weather stations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teshome.